Today is a special news bulletin about the last 100 years of American history, starting with Declaration of Independence and the Revolution. The Revolution started because King of England taxed the colonies without having them represented in Parliament. It happened in America, of course. And it was the fight for American independence. And during the early parts of the war, they drafted the Declaration of Independence, declaring our independence from Britain. After we declared independence, we won. After we won, we made the Articles of Confederation. They didn't work so well. They were too light. They didn't give enough power to Congress, which was its only branch. So a bunch of delegates got together to revise it, but they just ended up scrapping it and building the Constitution as you know it today. Constitution was better because it gave Congress more power and also made the judiciary branch and the executive branch. So if the federal government needed more troops and they asked Georgia for 5,000 troops, Georgia couldn't just say no. They would have to. Okay, now on to the issue of slavery. Slavery was in the Americas since the very beginning. It was the act of holding another person in a position of property, doing whatever you want to it, which now is illegal. It is illegal now because of the 13th Amendment, which was passed after the Civil War. The arguments for and against slavery are that for, it is because the South needs slaves for its economy, otherwise it will crash. Against, because it is just morally wrong. It was so hard to eradicate it because technically the Constitution protects slavery because slaves are property. And you cannot take away life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And it was a major factor in the Civil War, which began when South Carolina had seceded and then attacked Fort Sumter. The advantages for the North in the Civil War were that it had more money, more troops, more railroads, and more power. The disadvantages were that it had to go into the South, it had less proficient generals, and the South had a fanatical morale, better generals, and the home field advantage. But it also had less railways, less men, less food, surprisingly, less industry. The major battles of the Civil War are Antietam, in which General George McClellan got General Lee's plans. He waited and waited, and then finally attacked. He lost a lot of men, and Lee only retreated because he had to get more ammunition. It's technically a win for us, but in reality, it's a win for them. And in the end, at something courthouse, I forget it. General Lee surrendered to General Grant, and after the Civil War came a Reconstruction. Reconstruction is the act of reconstructing the South, of course. During Reconstruction, the South was split into 5 military districts. Tennessee excluded because it came in under the 10% plan of Lincoln. The states resisted Reconstruction by violence, the KKK, black codes, which are like not giving a black man a job and then fining him for not having a job, and Jim Crow laws, which were there way after Reconstruction. Jim Crow laws are grandfather clauses, which say that you cannot vote if your grandfather couldn't vote. Poll taxes, which says that you cannot vote if you can't pay. And literacy tests, which say that if you're not smart enough, you can't vote. After Reconstruction, the blacks lost most of the rights that they gained during Reconstruction.